I thought buying a slice of peace out in Montana meant just that, peace. Turns out, all I really bought was a front row seat to a war. Not the loud kind with sirens or uniforms, but the slow, soul-grinding kind. The kind waged with fake maps, forged signatures, midnight sabotage, and one particular HOA president who thought she could steal my land with a smile and a stack of paperwork. That's the thing about places like this, they look quiet from the outside, but underneath, you'd be shocked how fast folks turn from neighborly to nasty when there's a lake and a deed at stake. Name's Russell James, 42, ex-Coast Guard, and not exactly the kind of guy who runs from a fight, though I never came looking for one. After 20 years of service, I cashed out, bought myself an old cabin on a patch of lakefront nobody was supposed to bother. I figured I'd fix up a few docks, run a small repair business in town, and breathe easy for once. That gravel road, winding through pines to my steel gate, it was supposed to be the finish line. Instead, it was just the starting block. The first hint something was off? Monday morning, 3 months after moving in. Spring, but the cold still bit your nose. I walked down to check my gate, something I always did after weekends. There was fresh tire tracks, 2 beer cans crushed into the grass, a chain on the gate that looked right at first, until you noticed it had been cut and carefully looped back together. I'm not a man who jumps to conclusions, but I'm also not an idiot. Pulled the SD card from my trail cam, and there it was, black SUV, for people, popping the lock and treating my dock like their own. Coolers, Bluetooth speaker, the whole deal. Stayed 4 hours, left like they own the place. Next day, I get a letter. Certified. Looks official, all watermarked, stamped with a logo I've never seen. Elk Run Water Right Association. Reads like a lawsuit, but dressed up as neighborly concern. Says I'm blocking traditional community access with my artificial barrier. They want my gate gone in 10 business days, or they're escalating to the county. I laughed out loud, then stopped because this was no prank. I checked every record before buying. Hired a land attorney, triple-checked the title. My property was carved out, not under the HOA, never had been. County had filed a special note on the parcel. No dues, no shared assets, no nothing. Still, I called the number at the bottom. Got a woman, brisk, clipped voice. Karen Wesley, President, Elk Run Wide Association. I told her who I was, why I was calling. Her response was a sigh, just shy of rolling her eyes. That access road's been used by the community for over 20 years, she said. Not anymore. I told her, my deed, my road, not a thing in your registry. She threatened county complaints and asked nicely that I remove my gate. I hung up before I said something that'd end up as evidence. Instead, I sent every scrap of paper I had to my lawyer, filed a police report for trespassing, and replaced the lock with a chain you'd need a tank to break. By sundown, I'd added new trail cams, cellular this time, with motion alerts straight to my phone. Welded extra brackets, posted signs. Private property, not subject to HOA. There was a strange peace that night, quiet, but I could feel something coming. And I was right. Few days passed. Nothing but cold wind and drifting snow. I started to think maybe, just maybe, they'd gotten the message. Then Friday hit. I'm on the porch with coffee when my phone buzzes. Gate camera. White Suburban, 3 people, one in a red peacoat, another holding bolt cutters. I don't wait. Grab my boots and coat, walk down the trail. Back away from that gate. I say, and my voice comes out harder than I expected. Woman introduces herself as Emily Pritchard, Access Coordinator for the HOA. Clipboard out, official as all get out. Says she's here to inspect the access route. I remind her, loud and clear, this is private land, and I've already called the sheriff. The guy with the badge, chest puffed up, tries to muscle me. You're obstructing community ingress. I offer to fetch my deed. They back down, but leave me another envelope, this time with stronger threats and a bunch of legal-sounding nonsense. That night, I doubled down. More welding, bigger locks. Drafted a cease and desist, CC'd my lawyer, the sheriff, the county. Next morning, flyers everywhere. Lake access denied. One man's gate hurts us all. Complete with a drone photo of my gate and my full name and parcel number on the back. HOA had started a petition, 50 signatures, painting me as the villain. Some in town rolled their eyes. Bunch of HOA nonsense, you're on your own land. But it still rattled me. Pressure campaigns like this? They get dangerous fast. Then it escalated. Trail cam buzzes at 2 a.m. Hooded figure with bolt cutters, cutting the lock. My floodlights blast on. He bolts, but not before the camera nails his license plate. Cops take the report, promise to look into it, but I knew better than to wait. Marched down to the county office with every record I had. Got notarized copies, original maps, everything. If they wanted a fight, I was ready. Monday, things got weird. Knock at the door. Not the gate, my door. It's a zoning office liaison, clipboard in hand, delivering paperwork for a formal assessment of historical access. You can't tell me who filed it, but inside the envelope, a doctored map, my driveway relabeled as Community Fire Access Trail, with a shared use access overlay that just plain wasn't true. I pointed out the real records. He shrugged. Bring your docs to the hearing. Hearing? Yep, county civil court that Thursday. They weren't playing around anymore. This was coordinated. My lawyer, Janet, was already a step ahead. Discovery filed, original map secured. Even found out someone in the county office had changed the digital GIS record just 3 weeks ago. A Miller, associate zoning tech, probably doing Karen a favor. On one map, I spotted a company footer, Property Insight Group, LLC. Guess who runs that outfit? Karen's husband. Small world. Thursday comes. Court's packed. Karen in her best boardroom gear, 2 lawyers beside her, me in boots and flannel, binder thick with evidence. Karen's side argues that the public record now shows shared access, that my gate violates zoning, that there's implied easement. Janet stands, tears through it all, shows our real maps, exposes the GIS tampering, lays out the connection between Karen, her husband's company, and the forged documents. Judge doesn't say much, but freezes all HOA action pending review. I caught Karen's eyes as I walked out. She looked at me like she was recalculating. Not defeated, not yet. Just recalculating. I thought things might cool off. I was wrong. That Sunday, a friend calls. Russ, you expecting work done on your gate? 'Cause there's an excavator out here, guys tearing up your fence, and Karen's supervising. 3 hours later, I'm home. Half my fence ripped out, a demolition crew hard at work. I call the sheriff, then 2 old Coast Guard buddies, Colby and Jared, who live nearby. We rebuilt the fence, poured new concrete, added floodlights and alarms. Sheriff's deputy arrived just in time to see Karen waving paperwork, but he shut her down fast. Ma'am, I need you to be silent while I speak to Mr. James. Music to my ears. He asked if I wanted to press charges. I said, absolutely. Didn't take long for things to boil over. The next HOA move was pure insanity. A proposal for a public pier and parking lot built right on my lakefront, with a forged annexation signature from a man who'd been dead for 2 years. My lawyer filed a fraud report, called the widow for proof, and a local newspaper ran the story. It went viral. Residents flooded the comments section with their own HOA horror stories. I did interviews, showed the damage, called out the fraud. The HOA fired back. Intimidation signs, more midnight trespassers, even a fake documentary crew sent to make me look like a greedy hermit. But everything was documented. Video, emails, records. County sheriff knocked on Karen's door that Monday. She was arrested. Fraud, forgery, conspiracy, all of it. Local news ran the footage of her screaming while they led her to the cruiser. By sunset, every board member had resigned. The HOA dissolved, my land protected, settlement paid, public apology printed. I installed a new steel gate, mounted a bronze sign, private property, no HOA access. Trespass is a felony. Some folks in town joke I should sell souvenir versions. You want to know the lesson in all this? It's simple, and it hits hard when you finally feel it deep down. Folks will do just about anything to get what they think they deserve, even if it means lying, forging, bulldozing right over your life. Power in the wrong hands doesn't just corrupt. It metastasizes, spreads, infects everyone who thinks the rules don't apply to them. I learned that the hard way. But I also learned that sometimes, if you're stubborn enough, loud enough, and armed with the truth, you can win. Not always. Not cleanly. But you can. 2 weeks after the last hearing, Karen sat in county jail, denied bail, the HOA was finished, and my old dog Max trotted beside me down to the lake like none of it had happened. I sat on the dock, beer in hand, and finally felt the kind of peace I thought I'd bought all those months ago. You ever wonder where the line is between standing your ground and starting a war? Between protecting what's yours and becoming the villain in someone else's story? Maybe there isn't a line at all, just a choice you have to make when someone tries to take what's yours. So let me ask you, where would you draw that line? Ever had to defend what you own, even when the whole world seemed set against you? Drop your story in the comments. Let's see where folks really stand when it comes to right, wrong, and justice.